Hello guys, I've been getting a lot of questions on my Instagram account about what gear am I using and how I build my home studio, how I record my stuff. In this video I'm gonna break down the gear I'm using. Apart from the guitars, I will do a separate video about all of my guitars. I will focus more on what software am I using, what speakers, sound cards and all of these other things I'm using to create my videos, as well as my demos and songs you can find on Spotify. And without further ado, let's go and jump into the video. So let's start with the most important thing, which I think it's the computer you're gonna use. I have a 2020 M1 MacBook Air, which I think it's wonderful. It's not as expensive as the Pro models, but I think it's really powerful for what I do, at least videos and photos and music as well. The only problem I have with this computer is that some of the plugins I used to use, they're not optimized yet for the M1 chip, and it's a bit buggy sometimes. So if you're thinking about investing in a computer or a laptop, I highly suggest looking into these M1 chips if you're not using a specific plugin that it's a deal breaker for you. Anyway, let's move on to the software that I'm using. So when it comes to audio software, I used to use Ableton Live. I used to love this software and I still use it from time to time, but since I bought my MacBook, I tend to use Logic Pro X a bit more. Works a bit better with the interface. It's easier to use. It has a nice feature of the drummer that you can simply put some drums on an idea you have and you can easily create a song or a backing track or whatever you want with the drummer feature, which I think is brilliant. This is one of the main reasons I like to use Logic Pro X. Also, they have some amazing plugins like native plugins, compressors, EQs. They have a nice native limiter plugin which I often use for my backing tracks and different songs. They also have a massive library, a really creative library where you can find strings, pianos, electric pianos, synthesizers, and everything you need to create a demo, backing track, or an actual song. But when it comes to my guitar sounds, I love using Amplitude. Amplitude is a software, it's a VST where you have a lot of options from different amps, you have different effects, you have different cabinets you can use, you have different studio effects. I played with a bunch of plugins for guitarists, but I find Amplitude to work best for me. They have some amazing clean sounds, they have some amazing overdrive sounds, and to me, to my ears at least, it sounds really close to an original Marshall or a Fender or any other amp you wish to have. When it comes to Amplitude, I have the max version and I've created some presets that I'm using. I think there are about 10 to 15 presets that I'm using. If you wish to get access to the presets, you can find them in my Patreon page. If you join as a patron, you will get access to my presets. You can download them and import them to Amplitude, and you can have the presets I'm actually using. With that said, if you don't have Amplitude and if you're interested in getting a copy of Amplitude, you can find a link below. A couple of reasons that I'm using Amplitude compared to a traditional amp, for example. First of all, it's really efficient and environmentally friendly. If you have a tube amp, which I really love and I do use in the studio and in a live situation, but from home when I'm practicing, when I'm recording demos or videos for YouTube or Instagram, it's not efficient to have a lot of power and to have a tube amp draining power. It's not good for the environment, and I really think that with using the Amplitude and software, you can get some amazing sounds. Another reason I'm using Amplitude instead of a traditional amp is that I don't have to mic the amp. I don't have to know how to be a sound engineer to have an amazing sound. Sometimes you can get an amazing sound, but if you don't know how to capture it correctly, then the end result might be worse than what you actually hear in the room. So with Amplitude, you don't have to worry about all of these things. You won't have any phasing issues. It's pretty much ready to go, and you can just plug in and experiment with different sounds and whatever you wish to do. So for me it works really well because I can experiment with different amps that I don't personally own. For example, an AC30, a Vox AC30, or a Marshall 100 watt Plexi head, which I don't own. I own another Marshall which is a bit smaller, a bit more compact. In a bedroom scenario, it doesn't make sense to have huge amps for me at least. And this is why I'm using Amplitude to get the sounds that I want. One of the amazing things you can do with these softwares is you can capture a recording, so you can capture a performance, so you can play a solo or a part of your song. And if you don't really like the sound, if you're not happy with the sound, you can always reamp the same clip. So you can send this clip through the amp you want to use. You can mic the amp and actually create the sound like that. So this is a process called reamping. If you guys are interested, let me know and I can do a video about that. And the last reason I'm using Amplitude, believe it or not, I really like the sound of it. I really believe that it has an amazing sound. I'm happy to play with this. Moving on, I think it's crucial for you to have an audio interface. You can find so many cheap options out there, and I will link a few options below for you for different budgets. You can find super cheap ones that are okay, and you can find some amazing ones with plugins and everything you can wish for. So what I'm using is a Focusrite 2i4. This is how they call it. So you have 2 inputs and 4 outputs. So I bought this interface almost 10 years ago, and I have it for ages, and it still works. It still produces an amazing sound. It is really reliable for me. I've played a lot of gigs with it. I've traveled around the world with this interface, believe it or not. I bought it when I was back in my hometown in Greece, and now I live in London and I still have this sound card. Having 2 inputs is more than enough for me. One for my guitar and one for my microphone, which you can see here. I'm gonna talk about it a bit later. So the audio goes straight out of my studio monitors, a pair of KRK Rokit 5s. I have them for a couple of years now and I'm really happy with them. They're really balanced, they have a nice lively bass. For my purposes they work really well. I will link everything below if you want to check them out, and I will leave a few other options like the Yamaha studio monitors, which I think they're really good as well. Of course, you don't really need to invest in a pair of studio monitors. I bought these later on in my career and I was using headphones before, and I think you can do amazing mixing and producing and everything with a pair of headphones. In terms of other hardware, I'm using a Tascam TM-80 as a microphone. I use this for anything from tracking vocals to doing demos to even Skype or Zoom calls. I use this a lot for my videos for Vintage Guitar Nerds. Anyway guys, I hope this was helpful. I hope you got something out of this video. Please do let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. If you have any suggestions about any video I should make, please let me know in the comments below as well. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. It helps me with the algorithm. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload a new video. And I will see you on the next one.